Hello, my name is Tony Chan. I'm reporting for TelecomTV. Today with me is Jon Vestal, who's the Vice President of Product Architecture for the Managed Services Division of Pacnet. Jon, welcome to TelecomTV. Thanks for joining us. As one of the first telcos to actually implement SDN and then offer it commercially to customers, how do you think SDN has actually changed your business?
For us, SDN has allowed us to have different conversations with the customers. Right? Historically, as carriers, we go in and we sell a circuit from A to B. And now when we go in and we talk to customers, we're talking about how can their applications, how can we help them meet their specific business needs and be able to have the applications themselves determine what paths to use, what network performances they need, how can we shorten time to resolution for issues for the customer. It's allowed us to become more of a partner with our customers and be able to build a deeper relationship than we have in the past.
So what did Pacnet have to do to actually accommodate this change in business?
For us, it was an interesting time when we rolled this out. It was we were in the middle of changing some back-end systems. We were upgrading our network from 10 to 100 gig, which dramatically increased the bandwidth across our subsea backbone. And we were able to leverage all of those things at the same time and create an overlay network. So unlike the traditional, or what we hear frequently, the truck roll, forklift replacement of all of our equipment, we've been able to layer SDN infrastructure on top of our existing hardware and provide a better solution overall to the customer. So it was a fairly easy, but it was a very dramatic change for the company.
What were some of the challenges? I mean, there must have been some challenges.
Yeah, my favorite joke on this one is teaching network engineers how to program in Python, right? We're taking a company that is network-centric, really good Cisco engineers, Juniper engineers, people that really understand how to make networks work, and now we're teaching them how to actually program those devices natively and to be able to support not only our internal infrastructure, but when our customers call and they're using our API, now we need to interact with the customer directly and start to be able to support services at a much deeper level than we have in the past.
Okay, I think Pacnet's SDN service has been up and running for a couple of months at least. What are some of the tangible benefits? I mean, are you actually generating more revenue, getting to more customers, that kind of thing?
We're definitely getting to more customers. Adoption cycles are kind of interesting. We see something similar to what we saw in the cloud world, where people came in, they did a little bit of dev, a little bit of test, they kind of used it as that touchy-feely, I want to see if it'll work environment. And we're starting to see that, but we're also starting to see customers bring it on board and going straight into production. Initial use cases are kind of cloud burst, so getting into other cloud operators, as well as the DR aspects of it. Customers need to be able to have backup circuits, but they don't necessarily want to be paying for those backup circuits if they don't need it. And our SDN solution is more network as a service, so it allows those customers to bring up that circuit when they need it, rather than have that circuit sit there kind of transparently all the time, not being used.
But in terms of for the benefits for Pacnet, I mean, are you filling more pipes and?
We are, and you see the pipes being filled more consistently, right? The biggest challenge for a carrier is how do we balance traffic, right? And what we see is kind of traffic that goes like this throughout a day, and customers are committing at very high levels because they need to hit their peaks, which means when they're not hitting their peaks, you have a lot of white space, if you will, a lot of downtime. Because with the solution, customers can now provision bandwidth as they need it, when they need it. What we see is our pipes staying more solidly filled up. Customers aren't overcommitting, they're only taking what they need, which is allowing us to sell more services on that same physical infrastructure that we had before.
Okay, let's move on to some of the underlying technology for SDN. I mean, I think you mentioned before that Pacnet's service is actually based on OpenFlow, but you had to do a lot of customization and programming yourself. So what do you think OpenFlow is right now for the carrier space?
It's still emerging very clearly. OpenFlow gives us some incredible flexibility. I'll date myself here, but it takes me back to my early days when we had circuit switch networks. because it's conceptually an OpenFlow, we're building a circuit, right? But we're doing things at a packet level and a circuit level on the back end. And for us, that was the beauty of OpenFlow. I can make decisions on a packet by packet basis, but I still have the deterministic routing and the deterministic forwarding paths that we have in a circuit-based solution. So OpenFlow gives us something that we've been kind of lacking for a long time. Routing protocols like BGP, spanning tree, all of those things. They're interesting protocols, but they're non-deterministic, which means troubleshooting is more difficult and all of that. From that regards, OpenFlow has been very good for the carriers, but it's also something brand new. And as you know, as carriers, we are allergic to anything new. And I think overall, the community is going to adopt it very slowly.
From a telco's perspective, how do you see SDN and OpenFlow and all the emerging kind of standards and technologies coming out, like Open Daylight and OpenStack, and then you have the MEF doing their own thing, and then there's NFV, of course. So there's all these things coming up. Like, how do you kind of sort through that and decide a strategy?
I had a conversation with a vendor yesterday, and their question to me was, well, give me a list of things that you need, and we'll try to develop those solutions. And I looked at it and I said, I don't work that way, right? I'm on the product team, we design products, and I said, tell me what you can do, and we'll try to figure out where it can go from there. And for us, that's been, I think, the way that we've approached this. We're not trying to develop solutions out of the box. We're talking to customers, we're creating things that our customers are demanding, but we're also sitting down with the vendors, we're looking at things like Open Daylight, exactly like you said. We're looking at all these solutions and we're saying, what are the best pieces that we can glue together? What can we take and what can we do and how can we market and productize and commercialize those specific services that those things offer, which for carriers is a very different way for developing a product. So the openness of it has been great, because we can now interact with a whole bunch of things that we haven't been able to interact with in the past. The lack of standardization has been a hot topic in the industry right now, especially when it comes to APIs. You know, which API am I actually going to write to? But the most important thing for us right now is standardization is great, but we need to monetize kind of quickly. And if we have to wait on a standardization process to get 2, 3, 4 years to get a standard out, we're way too long in the process. So for us, it's about how do we take the tools that are out there, figure out what they can do, stitch them together and create a product that meets customers' needs.
Right, so last area is, I'm going to ask you anyway. SDN and NFV tend to be mentioned in the same sentence a lot. What's your view on that?
You don't have enough time. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. SDN and NIV are two completely different topics. We could spend hours talking about what SDN is, and we can spend hours talking about what NFV is. I don't know where the confusion came in initially to start with, but SDN to me is about orchestration. How do I manage a whole bunch of equipment? And it's about the separation control plane and data plane. You know, if I have something that's overlooking the entire network, I can now do interesting things. When I can see congestion 5, 6, 7 nodes away, we can route around it earlier and figure the best way to get from point A to point B. NFV is a great concept, and the idea that I can have a virtualized box, that I can have it be a router and a firewall and a load balancer and a WAN accelerator and all of the other features, is something that carriers have been asking for a long time. But it doesn't require SDN in order to do that. They're completely isolated and separated things. I think the proliferation of x86-based switches is leading towards the NFV side. The ability to run, basically a Linux kernel in a very small footprint on those devices. Some of the Intel chipsets that allow us to do zero copy and the other techniques we can do to get the best utilization out of the NICs are driving what the NFV features are going to be out there. Carriers are looking at NFV from two perspectives. One is in the cloud, so kind of core NFV, and one at the customer edge. And when we can do things at the customer edge on a low-powered device, we can offer a better overall solution to the customer.
Thank you very much, Jon, for your time.
Thank you.